Hey there, this is James from Dimensional Insight. Today, we're going to talk about how you can create new measures using calc rules. This is incredibly important towards getting all of your data into your measure factor. Joining us today is our training expert, Alyssa Mintz, who will give you a detailed walkthrough of the process. Alyssa, they're all yours.
In this demonstration, we'll add a measure using a calc rule. A calc rule adds information to each record of a dataset by applying a Spectre expression to a subset of other rules in the same dataset. The goal of our measure is to produce the sum of all hospital-based outpatient accounts. The measure produces this number by processing a calc rule and performing a calculation with the results. The calc rule we're building for our measure will identify the outpatient records in the dataset using this expression. The measure looks at the calc rule and counts the number of records for which the calc rule returns a value of true. For the purposes of this demonstration, the following elements have already been defined. The dataset. The dataset is accounts. The scope. The scope is discharges, which establishes discharge date as our date column. The category. The category is outpatient volumes. We'll begin by double-clicking our factory file name, cfg.factory, to open the file in the Measure Factory editor. The Measures page opens, showing the 8 measures currently in our factory file. We'll start by creating the calc rule, so we need to open the Rules page. Next, we'll click New. The New Rule pane opens. We're creating a calc rule, so we'll select Calc Rule in the Create box. The calc rule will reference the data in dataset accounts, so we'll select Accounts next to In Dataset. Next, we'll click Create Rule. The new calc rule is created and opens in the Detail pane with the default name New Rule 1. We'll name the rule Outpatient Account. Next, we'll specify the calculation we want the calc rule to perform. We want to identify the outpatient records, so we'll enter this expression in the calc field. Now we're ready to create the measure. We'll start by opening the Measures page and clicking New. We'll name the measure Total Outpatient Visits. Now we'll select category Outpatient Volumes. Next, we'll specify discharges as our scope. Now we'll specify what we want the measure to do. We'll do this in 2 steps. First, we'll use the filter field to identify the data the measure will work with, and then we'll use the calc field to specify the calculation the measure will perform with that data. The data we're working with is the set of outpatient records, so we'll use Calc Rule Outpatient Account to identify that data in the filter field. This expression returns the value true for each record identified as an outpatient account. So when we click OK, we see a statement to that effect in the filter field. Next, we'll specify the calculation we want the measure to perform. We want a sum of all the outpatient accounts identified by the filter, so we'll enter count in the calc field. In the Format field, we'll choose the number format we want Measure Factory to use when it displays the results of the calculation. Next, in the Documentation section, we'll add a definition and brief description for our measure. We're now ready to save and then run the factory file. The resulting files are placed in the project's Factory Output folder. Let's look at the Factory Dive book to see our measure. In the Datasets area, we'll open Accounts. Now we'll dive on Discharge Date. Next, we'll add our measure column to the dive window and remove the count column at the same time so we can see the results of the measure more clearly. The measure column shows the total number of outpatient visits on each date in the discharge date column. To see the total number of outpatient visits on the most current date in the dataset, we'll sort down on discharge date. So that's how you add a measure that references a calc rule. On the Rules page, you click New, select Calc Rule, select the dataset for which you're creating the rule, and click Create Rule. Then you name the rule and specify the calculation you want it to perform. Then on the Measures page, you click New, name the measure, specify a category for the measure, specify a scope for the measure, specify the expression to filter the measure, specify the calculation you want the measure to perform, specify a format for the results of the calculation, and enter a definition for and description of the measure.
You're still here? The video's over. Go click on something else. Or you could click on the like button below if you liked this video and subscribe for more just like it. Also, we'd like to hear from you if you have any questions about any of the material that we've covered today. We hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you next time.